Let's get this started. Food that I made myself eat. I'm not cleaning it up. Maybe I was feeling better, but I'm not. So, HBO, the shows have gone. Their season. All they've really been watching there is Game of Thrones and Silicon Valley, and that doesn't come back till August. Maybe I don't know. I should probably cancel my HBO subscription until then. But I got to figure out how to do that because I don't know. It took me quite some time to get my payment updated because my credit card that was associated with it expired. I got a new one. It was a big problem. So won't be doing that today, but I've got some other things to go through. Let's start out with Geek and Sundry because Tabletop Kingdom Builder came out. I was actually really impressed with Kingdom Builder. It looked like a great game, and maybe I should be talking about this on GameSpot more, but I'm super happy that managed to come out. But it's worth noting because the gentleman who was on Tabletop for Kingdom Builder, they timed this just right for him. I cannot remember his name though. Oh, this is horrible. I feel so bad. Horrible, because he's really funny. And he's kind of smart funny, even though he does a lot of goofy funny. But it's really good to see him show up on Tabletop, and I really like what they've been doing. Geek Sundry's also started up Titan's Grave, which is like their version of Heroes of Awesome from Weird Girls, which oddly enough did not come out this weekend. But I need to get caught up on that because it's been 3 episodes and I just haven't got started into it. I think once I get started into it, it'll be pretty interesting. If nothing else, Hank and Allison Hayslip, I definitely like them as personalities. And then we'll see how Will is as a DM because the DM can really set or destroy the mood for an experience. The only other thing about Geek and Sundry I want to mention is that Felicia Day and Ryan stopped doing Co-optitude, which is a horribly produced show in the first place because they do those angled windows that just induce nauseation. It's ridiculous. It's really a stupid choice when it comes down to it. But it was a Ryan and Felicia Day thing. You watch the show because of their personalities, not necessarily because of the games they're playing. So now they've got Navarro and Marzipan on there, and they're okay, but they're not that great. I think they're seeing a lot less views and a lot more dislikes with those two. It's a different brand of humor. You manage to chase off a bunch of your audience without pulling in replacements, especially because I don't know if there's really any big Navarro or Marzipan fans out there. And they haven't incorporated the Geek and Sundry Twitch team into the YouTube space. Now, if there's a Geek and Sundry Twitch channel on YouTube that I don't know about that they're exporting the videos over to, I apologize. But more than likely, they bothered to pay for the premium membership so that their videos stay on Twitch. And so they have a different company or presence on Twitch versus YouTube, which is worth mentioning to its own. On the spot, the same guys was on the spot that was on there, and I think my all-time favorite Gus line, I don't fuck anything white. Now, they were talking about bread before anybody gets upset, because he actually got booed from the audience. And Paul Scheer, that's his name. Really funny guy. I was really surprised to see him on 2 different things, and maybe he timed it that way. I don't know. New RTA's up. I should probably watch that when I get a chance. But Red versus Blue, like I said, we've been building, and we're finally getting some things. I feel like we missed an episode somewhere. Like there was a whole setup to Carolina and Sharkface fighting, but whatever. I guess we didn't need that. But we're in the building preamble. to that, and they got past Washington and Felix, which is a surprise all on its own. But I think they're taunting him too much, because really, Wash is kind of running his mouth, and Carolina is not as badass as she used to be. We actually see a big moment with her in church, that I can't wait to see how they follow up on that. That'll be very, very interesting to see where that's going. I'm sure Miles has a surprise, and I almost wish I knew exactly how many more episodes we had, because I have a feeling that they're gonna take another break and they'll do a PSA right before they do the big reveal that I'm waiting on. So that's red versus blue. I keep meaning to go back to Prime and see if I can find another series or something on there to watch, and I just don't. I pay enough for Prime that like I feel like I should get more out of it, but okay, let's go over to Hulu because yeah, Melissa and Joey are still going. No idea why the timing's led to that, but it's still happening. So that's what I've been watching. And other than Messengers, there hasn't been anything popping up, and I keep just forgetting to remove Messengers because I keep thinking like, oh, maybe I'll go back and watch it. And I've got some stuff on to watch on my queue, but I just haven't bothered to go back to it. Before I forget, let me look at what. Oh, Chappie's coming. That'll be good. Yeah, so let's do these. I rewatched Sweeney Todd because it's one of my favorite movies, and it's been haunting me since I mentioned it to somebody. So I definitely enjoyed that. It's just such a crazy dark movie that it's funny not because people are being murdered and eaten. Just the ridiculousness and the nonchalance that happens with all of it. It's almost such a serious thing that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they would even propose this would happen, sort of thing. And then Project Almanac. If you like found footage at all, watch Project Almanac. It's not Chronicle. Chronicle is probably my favorite found footage, followed right next to Cloverfield. And I'd probably put this in third. But I saw a trailer for this last year or whenever it was. I was like, I'm watching that. That's happening. It's a time travel movie, and the time traveling in it actually bothers me a lot because, and they even mention Looper specifically. It's like it's based a lot off Looper. It's based on diverging timelines, and this weird interaction where people can actually disappear out of reality. And it's and they propose these timelines that where you can actually prevent other timelines from occurring, like your own timeline. So it causes a loop, and even though like a person disappeared, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the objects associated with it disappeared. So there's a lot of freaking loopholes in the logic presented. So to me, it's a perfect case against doing multiple timelines and going to a fated universe. But I just there's not enough fatalistic time travel movies. But this is really good. I like how they put some science into it. They put a little bit of dysfunctional family stuff in it. It had a very similar thing to Chronicle 2, where they're like, here are the rules, and then somebody goes rogue, and that's the movie. That's the real story. And then we have 50 Shades of Grey. I'm not going to talk about as long about this as I thought I was, because everybody really went off their asses about this. They got all hyped up about this fucking movie. And they're like, it's the next Twilight, and like people are going to droves, and because it's such a new and exciting thing. This movie was fucking boring. Like I like it on a philosophical level. like the propositions. But the movie paints Christian as an abused person who just wants to abuse other people. It's the bully theory. He's a bully because he was bullied. So now that he has a chance, he's going to do it to somebody else, which makes him psychologically disordered. So that's the only reason why you would ever go to the BDSM world, when in fact the BDSM world is its own culture of things. And regardless of why you want to do these things, it's a legitimate world of consent, where you have dominant, submissives, bondage, master, slave, whatever terminology you want to pick from there. And while people don't get normally hunted down, as far as I'm concerned, there are people who get trained up. There's been chronicles of this in real life, but like I don't think anybody goes in for like a job interview and then gets sidelined into it. And to me, this seems like the ultimate story of like, oh, I can change him. And it's supposed to be this antithesis to the dominant submissive roles that exist in reality. Domination is a thing. Not talking about like with a whip. I'm just saying dominance in general. There's almost always someone on top of someone else in any other scenario. But it seems like the thesis of this movie is that that doesn't work, and that you must always force equality into the situation, where that's not always the case. And some people like that it's not the case, and that's just how the world is. May not be how your world is, may not be how my world is, but that's how some people's world is, and that's Christian's point throughout the whole movie, is that you don't understand this. That's why there's been 15 girls before you, because I've got to find someone who actually shares my point of view. So I actually like the romanticism of that, because it relates to my situation. It's like I've got a very thin band of like what I like or is acceptable from the world, and like I'm trying to find someone to share that with. And every fantasy of anyone real I have, I know it's nothing more than that. It's nothing more than a fantasy. And then like, yeah, okay, we're not going to get into the thing where like this is what we're working with, but like to find someone who's like that, like how somewhat like I want them to be, and then still be able to get on board with how I am. The reality is it's a small spectrum of people that I'm going to be happy with, and when I finally find them, it's more than likely going to last, but that means that I'm going to go through some shit. So I relate to it on like a very high level of romanticism. But what fucking bothered me about this movie is that it had, not only was it so fucking boring, like occasionally it was like, oh, well, they're getting to doing stuff now, and like we're of course we're going through all these baby steps of things here and there, and like she's on about this again, he's on about that again. It's like yada yada yada. But then like it just fucking stops. At the end of the movie, it just stops. They don't finish the story arc. So when the second movie happens, because it's obviously going to have a second movie, or there's a second book, I believe, so there's going to be a second movie. That's going to be the first thing that has to happen, is that we resolve her story arc with how she's dealing with this situation before they re-engage over what's happening. And more than likely, my prediction would be that in the second movie that he takes on a new protege or whatnot. And then that's what gets her to be jealous and actually want to come back and possibly sign the contract. And the third movie will be she will have signed the contract, and like this is her new life. Trying to look at these other movies that I got coming my way. I am really excited about Chappie coming in. It reminds me a lot of Appleseed. It was a anime that was around when I was growing up. Okay, that one. Nothing too exciting. So let's look at I don't even know what day it is. 23rd. Hidden Kingdoms. Okay, I tried to watch Sense8. It's a really cool. 8 people around the world have linked telepathically, and the show is filmed just amazingly. Because there's all these mental scenes, and then people sharing spaces where they're not actually at. So if you watch it, there's a lot of great filmmaking going into it. However, it just felt boring. Like, we have this amazing thing going on, and what are we doing with it? I needed a more fantastical world for it to happen, and for it to be the only supernatural thing happening. Who gives a shit? But if, like, it was Slayers or Bubblegum Crisis 2040, and then all of a sudden they got telepathy, like, maybe it would be interesting. What I was excited about is that out of nowhere, I didn't even see this coming, Ascension popped in on Netflix. And now this actually has a good enough hook. The general concept of doing what Ascension proposes is interesting enough on its own. Now, the proposition of Ascension is that in the 1960s, they put a bunch of people on a spaceship and sent it off towards Proxima Centauri to try to find habitable life there and colonize somewhere else in the galaxy, because they predicted that, like, humans would destroy Terra. The problem is that the journey would take at least 100 years. So we know that, like, the people that you put on the ship won't survive. So they will have to have children and raise those children to perform duties on the ship, and possibly their children as well. And then they all would repopulate the new planet. We come in about 50 years into the journey, and we start having incidents. Well, it turns out that, like, they never actually left Terra. They just were in this really good simulation. So, like, now you have everything that's happening on the ship, where people are going crazy and committing terrorist acts, etc. And then you've got the people managing the simulation, and then you've got the barriers outside that. But the idea is that it's modern day, so, like, all the normal stuff is going on out in the world. So if one of these people were to escape, what would they find? How would they react? But as the show goes on, spoilers maybe here, it turns out, like, the idea of the program was not to see if it would work to send people to Proxima Centauri, not to see if they would survive or how they would react, but to look for supernatural anomaly within 3 generations. And spoilers, they find it. So now that's the big thing at the end of Ascension that they're dealing with, is how to deal with and harvest that, or whatever you want to call it. Harness is what I meant, not harvest. And so while it deserves a season 2, I can definitely see it not getting one, because it put all this effort, and that was the argument in the show against the Ascension project. It puts all this effort into building this storyline, this world inside a world inside a world, to no use. So, like, I really want to see it go farther, especially given the very, very last scene. But I don't know how they're gonna work on that. Good luck to them. I will look forward to watching the second season if it comes around. All right. The next few movies are not that uplifting. Though I did sprinkle in some documentary stuff. I ended up watching The Life of Mammals. The old guy in there is like a really weird nature version of Santa Claus. And the show's set up so weird. I hate it when they jump around the world. It's like, oh, they start in Australia, and then they go to South America, then they go to Africa, and then back to Australia, and then China, and then back to Africa. It's like, let's pick a region and talk about the dozens of animals that are there. Or if we're talking about big cats, let's deal with all of them on one continent and then move away. The circling back does not appeal to me when it comes to documentaries. So okay, let's look at these sets. Movies. First off, Transformers: Age of Extinction. I'm willing to bet you think I'm gonna shit all over this movie. Well, you're right, because it's a Transformers movie, and because it's so deviated from the source material, it's kind of shit in general. And Michael Bay did it all up. The Transformers are so detailed that they actually look ridiculous. On top of that, the detail doesn't even follow any logic or anything. They just repiece together, which they actually explain in this movie, because apparently Transformers are coated with transformium, programmable matter, which I have an issue with because it's not actually matter, then it'd be molecules, which is fine. I think you could make that happen. But they get a little anti-gravity with it. They actually, like, it starts swooping around, and it's like, oh no. Just, if it was like an ooze, like the T-1000, I could have gotten on board all day long. Probably my biggest problem with the movie. Now, the movie, you know, most movies have 3 acts. This has 4 acts, without a doubt. And the first 3 acts are fine. If you just stopped at that 3rd act, I would have been like, okay, where's the next movie? I actually would have been on board to see the sequel. This is by far my favorite Transformers movie, because we got so far away from the source material that we actually have Autobots fighting the humans, because the humans are stupid. I don't know why you would go to war with the alien race that fucked your planet up so much when none of them want to do it anymore. Other than like maybe a few rogue people, and the Autobots would be helping figure that one out, which should make it go a lot faster. And that's fucked up too, because they're still teaming up with the Transformer, because the government has one of them as an asset. Totally ridiculous. But then there's the whole thing with the Spark, and then they when the Spark is like a Transformer version of a soul, Lockout is collecting whatever sparks he can get his hands on, and then I'm pretty sure they destroyed Megatron's. So when they make the Galvatron project, he has no soul. So how does that work? Like, it offers a lot of questions. And that 4th act is just like, okay, the story's done. Let's just have a big action sequence in China to wrap everything up, shall we? And so Optimus Prime riding Grimlock was just fucking... It was weak, honestly. Like, I'm like, not only does that look stupid, it's Grimlock. Like, he had to fight him just to, like, put him in line. I don't know where he gets off riding him after that. So, okay, so that's probably the most uplifting. There's a movie called Would You Rather. It's based off stupid people with too much money and a game called Would You Rather. It's a, would you rather kiss your sister or your mom? Well, this is people with private estates and private security forces and private. Oh, yeah, and there's like sadists too. So it's like, would you rather stab your neighbor in the leg or use the African whipping stick on this guy? Which is just stupid. So, like, the fact that they actually budget to get rid of X amount of bodies a year is ridiculous. It's all the more proof that people shouldn't be able to amass that much money where they can become a threat to themselves because they're drunk on it. It's a fucking problem. So that was a horrible movie, and it doesn't even end well. There's no uplift. There's no real big kickoff, even though someone ends up winning and walking away with money. No. So that was Would You Rather. Cake. Jennifer Aniston got in some car wreck or something. She's all scarred up. Anna Kendrick kills herself. It's Anna Kendrick of all people, so you know the movie's going to be depressing if Anna Kendrick is the one that killed herself. Oh, man. It's a lot of just watching Jennifer Aniston take drugs, to be mad that she's scarred and that she has pins in her hips, and just dealing with shit after shit after shit, and like she's having delusions or whatever of Anna Kendrick's personality. That is my alarm saying I should do this. No, dismiss. Thank you. Come on, phone. So I didn't remember if it upswings at the end. I think maybe like the slightest bit, but it's just a lot of shit. And then I've been feeling like ass all day. It exhausted me just to leave the house for the one thing I had to get done. And I'm doing this. I'm about to pass out. I tried to go back and watch Scrotal Recall. Very interesting show. The short version is that a guy finds out that he gets chlamydia, or that he has chlamydia, and he's got to inform all his previous partners. So he makes a list. He starts calling people. And there's two storylines. There's a storyline that's back and past, kind of leading up to the future, and then there's the present where he's going around contacting people. And I was disappointed because there's a thing where it's like he likes his best friend, she's not. She's trying to do something else, and then they get weird about it, and then like I was really hoping that, like, because he got on really well with this one girl. I think her name's Abigail. And he's like telling part of the story to her, so it actually has reasonable reason for the flashbacks. So I thought the rest of the show would be him telling her stories, and then they would be together because she's okay with the whole thing. I was like, she seems really cool, and she's the one I thought was the prettiest. Bethany's kind of cute, but then like we get like 4 or 5. I don't know what episode is this, and it just kind of stops. I was like, where's the rest of my show? But I remembered it's British, so they only do like 8 episode seasons. Okay, I clicked on the thing, and Netflix has changed its layout, so maybe it's not up to everything yet. Okay, that's a lot of clicking just to get to what we used to. I used to be able to go to more info and be done. So yeah, Abigail's the first episode, and then Anna is the wedding. Oh, they're supposed to be in alphabetical order. Bethany's not, though. I don't know, it's 6 episodes. And I think it definitely deserves a continuation, but I'm guessing because it's a Netflix original that it got canceled. Though, if it's a Netflix original, maybe it's because it's British, and they're just like, oh, that seems like a lot of work. Maybe season 2 will be where they pick up some things. And then I went back and I wanted something positive and uplifting, so that through the pains and sweats that I would have something like positive to go on. So I broke out the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Ellie Kemper is fantastic. And what blows my mind is the first time I ever saw her was on the I'm going to make it so dry blowjob joke, where she was like, she's trying to get all the spit out of her mouth. And talk dirty about it, and he's just like, no. So she's hilarious. I really like her. And she's just got such this great creepy smile, and it's not creepy at first, but just like watching a whole season of it, it's kind of insane. And I'd love to see them get away from her, like that being the basis for the show, that she's a mole woman, or just maybe her in a new show. But like, I'd love to see like Kimmy Schmidt, like instead of doing Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt season 2, or maybe do that, just get rid of that fucking intro. It's horrible. I said dismiss. Yeah, so get rid of that horrible intro, and then yeah, and then just make it more be about like her adventuring forth or whatnot, and like maybe add some new characters. I would love to, like, I think I just want to see Ellie Kemper in a proper sitcom. I'm trying to think of like if there's a sitcom I would add her to. Like normally I think I would have said Big Bang Theory, but not anymore. The Odd Couple came to mind, but I don't know where she'd fit in there with the dynamic. Melissa and Joey would be really good. That's what I would like to see. Lennox can stay or go away. No, she probably would have to like leave out a little ways, like go somewhere else for the job for like a couple months. And then dude's in the Navy. Joey and Melissa are by themselves trying to get pregnant. Joe gets his daughter back, and then to watch her, they have to hire Ellie Kemper's character. That's what I would want. Yeah. That show, that edition of Melissa and Joey, and then I want Moriarty. I want her to have her own show. Yeah, so since I'm in charge of television, that'll happen soon. All right, that's really all I got to say. These are going to get a lot shorter over the summer. So I'm going to go over to roosterteeth.com and watch The Boobs That Got Away, because I am a sponsor. Oh, geez. I really enjoy the RTAs. So much that it makes me yearn for the ability to animate, so that I could do, even if it was really shitty animation, so that I could do voiceovers, Heroes of Awesome, or animation overs for the Heroes of Awesome and the podcasts that I listen to. I think if I could do animation proper, I think I would really enjoy doing that. So until next time, I am Kamurai, and you'll see me later. Bye.